This question to you both, what is your reaction to the recent Supreme Court decision regarding corporate contributions to campaigns, and what might be a legislative response?
Chris, you want to start with this one?
I think Kevin and I would agree that the legislature or the Congress should take a good look at this particular ruling and respond accordingly. I think it's important to also point out that corporations right now doing work in Ohio legally can contribute directly to either the Republican or Democratic Party. It's just that we're barred from using those dollars for certain activities. The notion that you're going to limit corporate dollars coming into the political process probably is not something that could be prohibited out of hand quite yet, but I invite the legislature and the Congress to look at that ruling and respond accordingly so that campaigns are not funded directly by corporations.
Chris, let me piggyback on that and then we'll go to you. Do you see this having a big impact? More dollars flowing in, everything's going to change this year?
Actually, I don't. I don't, because those corporations that would have thought about supporting candidates directly are worried about their branding among consumers in the larger sense, and that they would wish not to be affected negatively if they supported a candidate that perhaps is viewed as somebody that doesn't reflect that company.
I think there will be a chunk of dollars that flow into this process that aren't in it today. I think there will be a significant amount. I don't know how much. I don't think. But I don't think you're going to see it flow into the parties. You know,
well, the money already flows into the parties.
The money flows. Well, look, the money flows into the parties, and the money flows into other avenues and other vehicles, so that people can communicate and can get their message and their point across about a candidate. That's why you know, everybody talks about 527s. A 527 is essentially a place that a corporation can put dollars so that they can put an ad on TV to say, hey, you know, vote for, or they don't say vote for, but, you know, call so-and-so and tell them they're a good guy. Well, it's the same thing. So the dollars are in the process already. I'm kind of like Chris. I don't know that you're going to see very many companies who are willing to go out and say, vote for person X. I think they're going to continue to put money into 527s and other organizations as a way of making sure that there isn't a splashback on them as a company.
Any other questions right here?
Yeah. On a national level, we call it the Beltway, and perhaps in Ohio we call it the state capitol, but I'm curious for both of you what you do to ensure that your opinions and your advice is really based on what Ohioans want and not just what an insular group within your party or outside of your party is saying.
Yeah, good question, and I appreciate that. We do a couple of different things. One, you know, we do a lot of polling. Now, polling is impersonal. You don't get a chance to sit across from the table and talk with the person and really understand what they're saying and why. But polling helps us kind of understand, from a big picture standpoint, what people are thinking and feeling and seeing. But look, I spend a lot of time on the road, going to events all across the state, as do our candidates, as does Chris. Sitting in, whether it's in Fulton County or Marietta County or anywhere in between, trying to sit down and talk with folks and find out what's on their mind, what are the issues they care about, and how do we craft a message and develop a policy agenda that meets their needs. That's how you win elections.
Chris, you want to talk about that? Okay. Can I ask one follow-up on that? I've seen the surveys that come out from the parties, particularly from the Republican Party, about where you stand on these issues, and of course at the end it always asks for money. I get that. Is that more of a fundraising tool, or do you guys actually look at those surveys and try to take those responses?
Oh no! Look, there's all sorts of inputs. There's those surveys that are connected to a fundraising mechanism. Look, people aren't shy or bashful about sharing their opinion with us in the inbox at info@ohiogop.org.
Or in front of the party headquarters.
Or in front of party headquarters. And so look, there's lots of input. We're not. To the question, we're not an insular group of people who live inside the four walls of the party and never leave and think we have all the right answers. We don't live that way.
And real briefly, I always thought and continue to think that Barack Obama did so well running for the United States Senate in Illinois and then for president, because he literally had to drive from Chicago to Springfield and think about things during the course of that couple-hour, 2.5-hour drive. You know, I live in Port Clinton. Kevin lives in Fairborn. You know, not living in Columbus per se is an advantage quite honestly, doing our job.
Next question.
Hello. I wanted to know from both perspectives, how do you feel about the $400 million stimulus money coming for railroad transportation?
I'm supportive, probably.
This is a question on the rail,
right?
Right? Yeah, let's be clear, it's also not a high-speed rail. Go ahead, Chris.
Perhaps the opinion pages are awaiting you, Mark.
No, it's... I'm sorry when facts get confused with opinion, but...
Froelic's going to be concerned. Naymik's coming after him. $400 million invested in rail, I think, is a very good place to start. Ohio and Ohioans have long supported initiatives that would bring our communities closer together, in this case literally. I believe, the governor believes, our United States Senator Sherrod Brown believe, that investing in Ohio and Ohioans with this rail initiative is a very, very important part of building our state and going forward, and I support it.
The jury is still out for me. I'm skeptical at best. Skeptical at best. I don't view it as being economical. I think we're being told that it's going to cost less than it actually will turn out being. I think there will have to be a continuing state subsidy to pay for it. So I don't think it's cost effective. I don't think it's fast, as you described.
Well, no, mine is a point of contention. We've heard a lot from...
Should I moderate?
No, well, I think since you guys have challenged it, we do want to point out that there are high-speed corridors that the government is funding, and they were talking about those on the coast. This is not one of them, and that has gotten confused, and I think as a point of fact for your spin, we need to start there.
Well, and to the last point, I'm concerned it's just not convenient. If I wanted to come to this event today, I would have had to have left yesterday, and I might get home on Sunday to riding that train, and it would have cost me $300 to buy the ticket. I don't think that that taking the $400 million right now is probably the best use of that money.
Gentlemen, I have an informational question and then a policy question. My informational question, Kevin, is to you. I had always been misinformed that you were related to Mike DeWine, and since I've heard now that there's some relationship, I'm kind of curious what it is. My policy question is much more substantive, and that is that you were talking taxes before, but I'd like to talk expenditures. The state budget, as I understand it, heavily goes, in this order, I believe, to education, primary, secondary, and higher ed, and then Medicare, health care services, and then I think corrections. And what would each of your parties say to do to reform or control growth in those three areas, which are the highest growth parts of the budget?
Well, first of all, despite the striking resemblance between me and Mike DeWine, we're not any closer than second cousins. So I can draw you out the family tree at the end of the show. As it relates to the other issues, educate, medicate, and incarcerate is the old standard that people talk about. And I would suggest that sometime between now and the election, you're going to have Governor Strickland in here, and you're going to have soon-to-be Governor Kasich in here to talk about those things. But as a for instance, there are things that are out there on the table. For instance, when the idea of sentencing reform is an idea that's out there that would have an immediate, some might say not significant, but an immediate pressure relief valve on the correction system and on the prison system. I think there's lots of opportunity inside the prison system. I think there's still lots of opportunity inside the job and family services, inside the Medicaid line for things to be done differently. But candidly, those are colors that need to be spread out here by our candidates, maybe not so much by me today.